What if the moon, the silent companion that has circled our Earth for billions of years, was not as empty and lifeless as we once believed? And what if one ordinary night, as telescopes scanned its familiar face, scientists discovered something? Drifting just above its surface, something that should not exist. A strange alien object floating near the moon, pulsing faintly with an otherworldly glow. A discovery so shocking that NASA at first refused to release the data, afraid that the world would panic, but behind closed doors the truth could not be contained. Because this object was not a rock, not a satellite, not debris from some forgotten mission, but something entirely unknown. A structure hovering in silent orbit as though it had been waiting to be seen, and the first images that leaked from observatories showed an object shaped not like any natural body but with sharp edges, geometric lines and metallic reflections, like the wreckage of a ship or perhaps the vessel itself. Ancient yet active, floating less than a few hundred kilometers above the lunar surface. And the strangest detail was that it did not move like normal space debris, which drifts randomly and chaotically. But instead it glided with precision, holding a stable position as though under intelligent control, and the deeper scientists studied it, the more chilling the mystery grew, because when high-powered radio receivers pointed toward the object, faint signals were picked up, not random static but repeating pulses, rhythmic and deliberate, as if broadcasting some kind of message. And though decoding has remained impossible so far, the structure of the signal suggested intent, design, intelligence, and this revelation shook the scientific community to its core, for if such an object exists near the moon, then humanity is no longer just gazing into the cosmos, but being gazed upon in return, and the question becomes, how long has it been there? And why reveal itself now, for there are no records of it in Apollo mission data. No mention of it in ancient astronomy, which means either it has only recently arrived or it has been hiding, cloaked in some way, waiting for the exact moment to emerge, and some within NASA quietly suggest that the recent waves of advanced lunar scanning technology may have forced the object into visibility, as though our attempts to watch the moon triggered its awakening. And if that is true, then this alien presence has been aware of us all along, silently watching, silently waiting. And the horror is not only that it exists, but that it exists so close, within reach, in our very neighborhood, because for decades humanity has dreamed of colonizing the moon, building bases, expanding outward, but now the chilling reality sets in that we may not be the first, we may not be the only, and perhaps we are not even welcome. And as the data grew, whispers spread through scientific circles about strange anomalies recorded during Apollo. Anomalies of radio interference and unexplained equipment malfunctions, events dismissed at the time but now chillingly consistent with the possibility of a hidden presence. And though the astronauts never openly spoke of it, some declassified transcripts contain lines of eerie silence, moments when voices cut off, times when something was reported outside the window before communication was suddenly lost. And now with this discovery, those fragments take on new meaning, as though the truth had always been brushed aside, buried under secrecy, but could never be hidden forever, and the mysterious object floating near the moon is the proof that the universe is stranger than we dared to believe. And as NASA continues its silent investigation, a new fear grows that the object is not merely drifting, not merely observing, but preparing. For already there are reports of its position shifting slightly, as though adjusting orbit, aligning itself with Earth in subtle increments. And though no official confirmation has been given, leaked documents suggest that the pulses from the object have begun to synchronize with Earth's natural frequencies, aligning with magnetic fields, as if trying to communicate not only with machines, but perhaps directly with life itself. And this raises an even darker question. What if the object is not a visitor, but a seed? a device planted long ago, awakening. Only now, because the conditions are right, because humanity has reached a stage where its presence is finally necessary, or perhaps dangerous, and so the moon, once a symbol of romance and beauty, now casts a deeper shadow, a reminder that something alien and unknown is just above us, watching, waiting. And every night as we look up at its pale glow, we are staring at a secret that may change everything we know about life, the universe, and our place within it. Because this strange alien object is no longer a mystery to be ignored, it is a reality we must face. And though the world remains unaware for now, the truth is unraveling, one pulse, one reflection, one shadow at a time, and what it reveals is more terrifying than we can imagine, because the story of the moon has only just begun, and the last word whispered in NASA's internal memo about the object was simply this. The mysterious discovery near the moon did not just remain a simple headline, it became the center of every conversation, every late-night debate, and every hidden briefing. Behind closed doors, and as scientists kept trying to peel back layers of truth from what seemed like an impossible mystery, the strangeness only grew deeper because the more NASA's equipment observed the object, the more contradictions it revealed, and the first contradiction was size. Sometimes the sensors showed it as something barely the length of a bus, and sometimes it stretched hundreds of meters as if the object itself could bend space around it, which defied every physical law the scientists knew. And while engineers assumed maybe it was sensor glitch, the optical cameras confirmed the same anomaly, leaving no rational explanation. And then came the second contradiction: it gave off no heat, no trace of energy that should come from a solid object traveling through near space. But still, when the lunar probes focused on it with radar, a faint echo responded back, like a shadow answering a question it should not understand. And then one night, as the telescopes locked onto the floating mass, something unprecedented happened. It moved, not drifting passively with gravitational pull, but shifting in a way that felt deliberate, as though it noticed the observation and responded by changing position. And that was when the unease began to spread, because now whispers of it being an artifact of alien origin no longer felt like wild speculation, but like a possible truth that no one was ready to face. And soon hushed reports revealed that radio telescopes on Earth picked up signals coinciding with its movement signals. Not random but patterned, short bursts repeating with unnerving rhythm, almost as though a coded language was being spoken from the void near the moon. And those patterns were unlike anything from natural pulsars or cosmic background noise. They were too precise, too intentional, and as this realization settled, the question shifted from what is it to who placed it there and why. And the more experts analyzed, the more they saw hints of symmetry in its structure captured in blurred images. Not quite mechanical, not quite organic, but a strange hybrid that made seasoned researchers fall silent as though they were staring at something forbidden. And behind the curtain of official reports, NASA called for absolute secrecy. But secrets this large rarely stay contained, and rumors started leaking into fringe communities, into obscure websites and midnight radio shows, speaking of a sentinel placed near the moon, a watcher that had been there long before humans even thought of looking up with telescopes. And as the tension built, a small team of astronauts was quietly prepared for a mission, an unscheduled, classified journey to investigate the object directly, because satellites and telescopes could only reveal so much, and the world was not ready for the truth. But those chosen to face it were already being briefed on risks that went far beyond technology. They were warned that what they might encounter could challenge the very definition of life, time, and existence, and yet, none of them knew that. The moment their spacecraft left Earth's orbit to approach the floating object near the moon, the real mystery was only beginning, because something else silent, patient, and far older than human history was already watching them back. Asterisk.